you make $100,000. But you don't actually. That $100,000 is the biggest lie that you will ever be sold. The real number that you make is something around $60,000 to $65,000. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly why $100,000 working in an office at a job you hate is not the way to go through life, and why you need to find the right job, no matter what exactly that entails. The first thing that absolutely sucks you dry is having to get gifts for everybody in the office who you probably don't actually like. $30 for Karen's baby shower, $55, $60 for the team building escape room. And then don't forget that you have to go out for dinner afterwards. That'll be another $50. Oh, when you went to happy hour before you went to the escape room, that was another $20 or $30. By the way, when did it become a case in the US where you can't go out to dinner for two people for less than like $100? I went to Buffalo Wild Wings with my wife in December, January this year when I was visiting the States, and we spent like $77 for a couple of beers, some chicken wings, and some fries. I mean, this is California, you had the tax, you had the tip, everything else, but $77 for some fucking chicken wings? Like, you gotta be clucking crazy to pay that. I mean, it's just insane. You add all that stuff up of all the miscellaneous crap you have to buy for coworkers or chip in for cupcakes here or donuts there.
Attention all units.
Honestly, I bet most people in offices spend at least $100 a month on optional things like that.
Who cares?
So right there, $1,200, $1,500 a year out the window for just total junk. Number two, the appearance tax. Now, might depend if you're male or female. Maybe you don't spend that much on clothes, but on average, depending on the job, you probably do need to spend a couple $1,000s a year on clothes and shoes. And unless you buy stuff that just wears out after a few months, then you probably are investing a decent amount of money in it. And even just having to put on, like for females, obviously, the cost of putting on makeup to go to the office every day versus, more casual that you would just wear at home, or maybe no makeup at home, that does add up fairly quickly. Plus, if you're a man, you got to get everything dry cleaned all the time. You got to get haircuts. Those are not cheap. I mean, I don't live in the US, but I remember every time I visit, you go and spend $40, $50 at the barber. You do that every month. That's $600. That adds up extremely quick. Number three, the gas. But depending on where you live, the price of gas is going to vary greatly, obviously, but if you commute 25 miles each way, which would be roughly 30-ish minutes, that is 50 miles a day. That is at least $5 to $10 a day. You do that 20 times a month. Usually, actually, there's 22 business days in a month, so 22 times a month. I'm not really wanting to do the math. Maybe my editor can be nice and do the math here on the screen, but $5 a day, 22 days a month, $110. Maybe I'm better at math than I thought. $110 a month. People spend more than that on gas, right?
So you're saying we did all of this for nothing?
Why are you wasting America's time with this?
It adds up quick. And then, of course, you got the general wear and tear, sitting in traffic, on and off the brakes. I know none of you people in America know what that left pedal, the third pedal is, the clutch. I know you're not burning through clutches because none of you can drive a manual. A lot of wear and tear on your car. Add that to the gas, as opposed to if you just worked remotely or if you went to the office a few times a week. Either way, your car is going to cost you a lot of money over the course of a year going to a job. In fact, cars in general are just expensive money pits.
My car! My car! My car!
But I do understand, you kind of need them in the States. I live in Europe. I do have a car now, but the fact that anyone can actually just get around on public transit is pretty cool, actually. It got its downsides, that's for sure. But overall, not being able to sit in traffic, definitely a perk. But this could all be solved if companies were just more reasonable and weren't requiring to drag everybody kicking and screaming back to the office in the name of unity or collaboration or whatever other buzzwords they're throwing around, which are just plain and simple hot garbage. The number four that just sucks your wallet dry is the caffeine addiction. So let's say you roll on through Starbucks on your way to work and you, for whatever reason, pay Starbucks $7 for a cup of black coffee, which you could just make at home for 10 cents. But, whatever floats your boat.
It's my decision, not yours.
And then, of course, because everybody's suffering by the time 2 o'clock rolls around because everybody went to lunch and stuffed themselves with some hugely carb-heavy meal. Then you've got someone going on an afternoon coffee run. All this different stuff adds up to the point where many people are often spending $10, $15, $20 a day purely to stay caffeinated. Add in a few Red Bulls, a couple big old cans of Monster, and $20 a day, $100 a week just going towards caffeine. I mean, I guess it is the world's most common drug. It doesn't give you quite the same kick as some of the other ones, but
What the f is wrong with you?
I mean, oh man, okay. The next thing that just absolutely drains your wallet and that would go away if you worked remotely is lunches. So I just mentioned that, a few times a week you will go out with all your coworkers. You'll basically be forced to because you'll be seen as antisocial or weird or not a team player or not committed to the company. Basically, there's a dozen different ways that they will describe you if you don't go with them to Olive Garden and shove your face full of unlimited breadsticks. By the way, all that unlimited bread makes you just sleepy, especially at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, especially because you don't actually do anything at your job except try to look busy. So the result is you go back to work, you're tired, you try not to fall asleep at your desk, and what do? You go back to the previous point and you buy more caffeine. Like I said earlier, it is not cheap to eat out every day. I don't really understand how people who are making 50 to 70K a year actually do it. Like, it is actually, I would say, irresponsible to go out to eat. It is so expensive now. And on top of that, it's not as good as it used to be. Like, maybe I'm older, maybe I'm just don't like junk food as much as I used to, but the quality of things has just gone downhill. Like, every time I go back to the restaurants that I loved as a child, I have a bite and I'm like, this is just, it's so mid compared to what it used to be.
Warm beer and the worst food you ever ate.
All in all, it really adds up, those weekly runs to Subway or Togo's or wherever else that you're getting your sandwich, which is just the same deli meat that you buy down the store at Walmart. Same exact thing, but of course you're a weirdo if you don't go out to lunch all the time with everybody. And then of course, that adds up to the happy hours. Mentioned those earlier too. You go out to happy hour a couple times a month. Sure, the drinks are cheap, but you're obviously going to eat something with the drinks. And then of course, you've got the chances of getting pulled over on the way home if you live in the States because there is no public transit.
In God we must.
Or you have to pay for a cab. So those optional happy hours where, again, you're basically shamed and seen like the weirdo of the company if you don't go. You spend, $40 on drinks and then you're like, oh, I can't drive. So then you get a $30 cab home and then you realize that you have to pay for parking overnight at the office because the parking is not free or whatever else. And just like that, your night out was like $120. And you do that a few times a month. And that adds up really quickly too. So as you see, all these things are just death by 1,000 cuts, all the optional things that may sound okay on paper and you're like, yeah, okay, I'll go. But everyone says like, you need to come, but the company never picks up the bill for that. They're like, yes, you should go to happy hour. And yes, you should talk more about work and how to solve the problems and be more productive, even though we waste basically all your day anyway, but you got to pay that bill, budget cuts and all.
Obliged.
And finally, the last point I want to bring up is the time theft. I would estimate that most people who work in an office are not, how do I say this nicely? They're not really working 8 hours a day on average. They're just not.
That's right. We all know.
You're just being bored. Like, you are having your best years ripped away from you while you pretend to look busy by watching cat videos on YouTube. Your best years. Your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, like your best years. You could be building something, creating something, and instead you are alt-tabbing out of goddamn YouTube cat videos. Time, your most valuable asset, is simply stripped away. And if you add up, earlier I said, if you commute 30 minutes a day, that adds up as far as gas goes. What if you commute an hour each way? What if you spend 2 hours a day commuting? Do you know what the math is on that every year? What is the math on that? 500, I have the notes here. Wait.
Sometimes you gotta fake it till you make it.
The time of commuting. Let's say there's 250-ish, 260 days a year. I think it's 260 business days a year. 2 hours a day. That is 520 hours a year. That's 13 full work weeks. 13. How many days is that? Yeah. That is 21 days of unpaid time where you are paying, because you are paying the cost of the car in most cases. You're just sitting in traffic. 21 days. That is over 5% of your year. That's over 5% of your life that you sit in your car driving to work so that you can sit in meetings where nothing gets done, which could have been an email or could have been a Zoom meeting. 21 days a year lost, thrown away, just gone. You add that up over a 40-year career, that is 840 days of your life that you spend sitting in a car in traffic to go to work. 840 days. That's over 2 years. And for what? You tell me. You tell me what it's for. And if you're ready to find the right work for you, click the link below.